so glad to have you with us today. We have a great service planned, a wonderful, unique time together. We have a guest speaker. We have, of course, Brad Thompson and the 1111 Band playing some great music. DeAndrea Dare is going to be offering our time of reflection. So it's going to be good. It's really going to be a good service. I am Linda McDermott, the temporary host of these services, while my husband Tom, who's the pastor of this service, is still on his renewal leave. Like I said, you are going to see him for a few minutes this morning. Tom's going to come on and introduce our guest speaker. This is someone that he met on one of his many adventures during his renewal leave, and he's really pleased to be able to bring her to us this morning. But before we get to all that, here are some reminders and some announcements. First announcements, first things first, please register your attendance registration form on the live stream, or if you're watching it on the church website, or if you're on Facebook, hit the like button, or that's my personal preference. You can hit any of the buttons, but I prefer the like button. Or just shoot me an email, just to let me know that you've been here. That's extremely helpful. Our numbers are helpful indicators of how we're doing, so thank you for taking a minute to do that. Second, let's look at the upcoming plans for 1111. Many of you have been asking about this. Listen carefully. In-person meetings, they're coming. They're coming. We are scheduled to begin 1111 services in our old meeting space at the Center for Transforming Lives on the first Sunday of May. That is great news. The location of that is on the corner of Macon and 5th Street in downtown Fort Worth. It is also just right across the street from First United Methodist Church. We're still looking at the logistics for that service so that we can keep all of you safe. So it's going to require registration, pre-registration. That's not going to be available until the second week of April. So that gives us just a few more minutes to work on, or a few more weeks to work on those logistics, getting us together. Next Sunday is Easter Sunday. And that is going to be a busy week for us. 1111 is going to continue to be online at its regular time. And Tom and some others have been working on this service for a while. I know that it's going to be a special day for us. It's going to be Tom's official first day back, and he's very excited about that. Now, with next week being Easter, that means that today is Palm Sunday, and it also means that this is Holy Week. First United Methodist Church is offering Holy Week services on Thursday and Friday night. Both of those will be at 7 o'clock. They will be live streamed and also in person. If you want to come in person, you do need to register ahead of time for that. I would like to make just a special personal invitation to the Maundy Thursday service. I'm going to be preaching that. And so I'd love to see your faces. It's been a long time since I've seen some of you. So I hope you'll make that a point to try to be there. And if not, that you would be online. 7 o'clock, April the 1st, Thursday night. Now, one more thing. As our commitment to one another and to the services that we provide, your offering is vital. So we offer you a way of doing that while you're visiting online or watching this online. There is a QR code there on the live stream, and of course you can go to the First United Methodist Church Fort Worth webpage and use that QR code for your offering. That's so important. It's an important part of the way that you participate in this service, and as well as all of the other services that we provide to others. So thank you for that. Those are our announcements. Now let us begin with our welcome candle. The welcome candle has now been lit. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Come yet again.
Good morning. This is Palm Sunday, the beginning of a week that is quite the journey. A journey of darkness, a journey of community, both of love and support, a community that goes its separate ways, and a community that makes decisions that hurt and hinder. And so this week May we reflect on who we are, what we are called to be, what motivates us, and how we can truly live into the authentic self that we are deep within our core. May we pray. O Holy One, on this day, as the hosannas ring out, as the crowds gather and cheer, we know that the crowd will turn and change in just a few days. So be with us as we delve deep into ourselves this week to focus on what motivates us, who we are called to be, and how it is that we can live that out authentically in this world. May we be the ones who offer peace, offer hope, and offer love, not just in a week that leads to darkness, but in all the weeks ahead that lead to light. Amen.
Tell me a tale that always was. Sing me a song I'll always be. Tell me a story that I can read. Tell me a story that I believe. Paint me a picture that I can see. Give me a touch that I can feel. Turn me around so I can be everything I was meant to be. Lord, I need love. Lord, I need good, good loving. Lord, I need love. Lord, I need good, good loving. Show me some strength that I can use. Give me a sound that I won't refuse. Tell me a story that I can read. Tell me a story that I believe. Tell me a story that always was. Sing me a song I'll always be in. Turn me around so I can see everything I was meant to be. Lord, I need love. Lord, I need good, good love. Lord, I need love. Lord, I need good, good loving, yeah. Lord, I need loving. Lord, I need good, good loving. Lord, I need loving. Lord, I need good, good loving.
Good morning, everyone. Tom McDermott here. I am back. I'm in my office. Well, technically, I'm not back officially until Tuesday, the 30th. So I've got another couple of days. But I am back with you this morning in my office. You'll probably hear a little construction in the background or maybe some noise from the hall. We're going to plow through all of that. I just wanted to have a chance to say hello and a chance to introduce our speaker this morning. I hope you're doing well. I hope that you're starting to get excited and with all the vaccinations that are happening and even more as we speak, that we are beginning to see some signs of getting back together in groups, of going out to restaurants, and in particular getting back with our friends and family. Linda and I have had our first chances in the last couple of weeks. We've both been vaccinated, and several weeks past now, and had the chance to be with grandchildren again, which has been amazing, to be hugging our grandkids and such. So I know you're excited about that. Some of you have been already experiencing that, and we're going to be back together again on May the 2nd. Now, there's more information coming, and of course that depends on a lot of things. Obviously, if there's any resurgence in numbers of cases, if there's any new decisions by the CDC. But for now, we're planning on May the 2nd, and we'll have a gradual introduction into being in person. I'll give you more information on that. Watch your emails in the coming weeks for more information. Listen, I want to thank Brad for that song. He did a great job on that song by Michael Kiwanuka, Tell Me a Tale. And it speaks to what we're looking at today and to our guest speaker in particular. I want to highlight a couple of words from his lyrics. Tell me a tale that always was. Sing me a song that I'll always be in. Paint me a picture that I can see. Give me a touch that I can feel. Show me some strength that I can use. Lord, I need loving. Doesn't that speak to where we are right now, where we've been for the past 13, 14 months? We need this sense of connection. We need to not only just to simply see one another, we need to be with one another. We need to experience, to feel again connection in this time of disconnection, in this time of loss and tragedy. So this morning I wanted to offer this guest speaker, Sarah Hill, who's going to speak to some of this. I first heard her a couple of weeks ago at the Texas Storytelling Festival, which was online. And it always happens up in Denton. But being online, we had a huge crowd from all over the country, 600, 700, 800 people maybe. And 3.5 days of storytelling with tellers from all over the place. It was such a moving weekend of stories. It was surprisingly connective feeling. But there was this one concert on Saturday morning called Tales from the Pandemic. And it was 5 or 6 people sharing their own reflections on what the pandemic has meant to them, including we had the president of the American Medical Association who lives in this area. And these were moving, powerful stories, some more informative and some deeply personal and challenging. But Sarah Hill then was the final speaker, or one of the final speakers, and I knew Sarah Hill. Sarah Hill is an ICU nurse. She's a traveling nurse. She travels all over the country as an ICU nurse, and in particular, helping with COVID, with areas and communities where COVID resources are limited and where personnel are limited. And so she's traveled everywhere from Iowa down to Louisiana and Arkansas, all across the country for the past year or so. And her story is powerful, and it speaks to this importance of being present with one another in these times of disconnection, of the importance of bearing witness to our stories. But when I heard her tell her story, I was so moved because I've known her since she was a child. Her father is a sign interpreter and has been with the storytelling community as a sign interpreter since its inception back in the 80s, and a musician as well. And so I've seen her growing up, but I never really got to know her, and certainly never heard her. This was her first time to tell a story, her first time to speak in public, and it was so moving that I think you'll agree with me. It's a great opportunity and a gift for her to come and share with us this morning. Before she comes on, I wanted to simply set this up by saying that this is Palm Sunday, right? The week before Easter. It's traditionally in the Protestant church and in the Catholic church, it's traditionally that time when we reflect on Jesus' final week, his final days, and his suffering. But I think we get that wrong when we simply think that's what this is all about. I think we miss the more authentic and transformative invitation to our deepest, most authentic possibilities with the time that we have on this tiny little speck in the vast universe. I mean, we have this limited time in our lives to be a part of something larger, right? And so when we miss what Jesus was doing and we focus on his suffering and his death, I think we miss the invitation, the challenge that he was bringing to those around him and to us by extension. Linda hit the nail on the head last week when she said that as Jesus approached that last week of his life and looked at Jerusalem from above, from a hillside above, and he wept, one of 3 times that he wept, and she reminded us that he began weeping as he said, Jerusalem, if only you knew the ways that made for peace. And that's what I think we have an opportunity to think about. To see our life as woven in the fabric of all of life with the possibilities of participating in and bringing about shalom. This last line of Michael Kiwanuka's song spoke to this for me. Turn me around so I can see, so I can be. Turn me around so I can be everything I was meant to be. Turn us around. If we only knew the ways that we are meant to be in this world. Friends, I think that's what Sarah is going to offer us this morning, what she's going to bring to us with her story and thoughts. Something of the ways that make for shalom, for peace, for justice, and for the well-being of all of us. Sarah?
Hi, 1111 friends. It's so nice to be with you this morning. I was asked to be here today to tell you my story as a traveling nurse in the COVID-19 pandemic and how that's changed my life. So I'm an ICU nurse, and specifically one who travels to places where, for one reason or another, nurses are in short supply. Because of that, most of my work has been in the COVID ICU since March of 2020. For those who don't know what nurses really do, we're a lot more than just doctor's assistants. I can sum it up best as a statement I read once. Nurses are the intersection of healthcare and social justice. This is pretty true. We spend more time than any other member of the medical field directly with our patients. We get to know them and their families over days, weeks, and sometimes even months. Nurses have also been voted the most trusted profession for 19 years in a row. We're kind of like pit bulls when we think someone is treating our patients in a way that we feel like is wrong. It's also been said that we're healthcare heroes. I feel super uncool about that term. I tried to buy into that phrase, but it just doesn't feel like we're heroes, you know? We're all just doing our best. We keep showing up because it's what we love. We know we're helping people, but COVID and its many faces have really changed the game. I say it has many faces because it's just so different from one person to the next, and it changes its mind really quickly. Sometimes families still aren't allowed in our hospitals. Families are watching their loved ones on the screens of their phones and tablets and can't be there with them. It just breaks my heart. It goes against all of my morals and feelings, not just as a nurse, but as a caring human being. Human beings are designed to be in groups. And here, people are isolated and they're scared with just their screens. FaceTime has become their lifeline. We FaceTime mostly in the ICU just so our family members could see their loved ones resting, surrounded by medications, machinery. I would often wait for FaceTime to brush my patient's teeth or wash their hair on camera, just desperate to let the families know that we were still doing our best by their loved ones. What else could we do? We were doing everything else already. We FaceTime people's families so that when they saw the husband and wives in person, it was kind of a little exciting, like seeing an old friend or a celebrity, until the reality of why they were there really set in. They were there to say goodbye. It's the only way we could let them come in. I mean, what do you say? What can you really do? Sometimes it felt like there was nothing we could do. In Florida, I traveled by myself while we got our lives together to travel as a family. One day while I was there was a man who was discharging home that day to his wife. When we went to help him get dressed, we found him unresponsive, not breathing. We rushed him to ICU and we did everything that we could, but we had to let him go. We called his wife, and she was in shocked disbelief, of course. She told me that she had COVID too, but that she felt totally normal. And still, no one would come sit with her. Everyone was too scared. She also informed me that the next day was their 53rd wedding anniversary. My heart shattered. I felt like my whole chest had caved in. I told her, I have no words. I told her I would try to find someone. I called our hospital chaplain. I hoped and prayed that he would know someone to have the courage to sit with her. I felt so helpless. How can you do your best if there's nothing you can do? I mean, are you a hero if you don't save any lives? We visited more places and other hospitals, and things were different everywhere, but times were tough no matter where we landed. We continued to count our blessings, though, and at that point, we all felt like we still had some balance. Our next stop was Iowa. We stayed on a spectacular bison ranch. My son saw his first snow, and livestock and fields were all around with big, beautiful blue skies. And the people in Iowa were the nicest. But man, they were hit hard. This is where I really started feeling deep suffering, and not just from the patients either. The COVID brain you hear about, coupled with delirium that people get after a long ICU stay, was both heartbreaking and scary. Many people thought that they had been kidnapped and were being held against their will by us. We were wearing essentially what looks like a spacesuit. I mean, nothing about us looked nurse-like, except for maybe our stethoscopes. But this is where I started to feel less like a nurse and more like someone who was just carrying out orders. Here it's my responsibility and priority to keep my patients safe and to perform interventions to promote their health. But the interventions hurt and perpetuated the delusions that we were there to hurt them. The sedation we used to keep people comfortable and safe often made the delirium worse, and thus you see the endless cycle. I just saw so much suffering there. I felt like I could barely take it sometimes. I felt like my best wasn't good enough anymore. My best wasn't helping my patients. There were still things to hold on to there in Iowa. My fiance and I started planning our tiny wedding, and we had so much beauty around us. But how can you leave every day feeling like you're helping? How can you be a hero when your patients think that you're the villain? We left Iowa. We stopped in the Great Smoky Mountains on the way home and got married in a beautiful wooden wedding chapel on the top of a mountain. The next day, we sailed a valiant plank of wood down a mountain stream to a point where it got stuck under a log. My little 8-year-old son couldn't dislodge it, and he yelled for help. So my husband donned his dad cape, backed up 20 feet, and jumped deftly across the creek and landed on some rocks. Sometimes even Superman sprains his ankle. After a long drive, we made it to the next stop, Arkansas, in the dead of winter. We were in a small brown house in a dense brown forest on the side of a big steep hill covered in leaf litter that was, it was brown. It was brown. Everything was brown. So dull. I started at the hospital's COVID ICU the next day. It wasn't different from Iowa, but it felt different. My environment reflected how I felt. We couldn't explore much due to my husband's ankle, and our surrounding woods were so steep and craggy that the fate of my own ankles lay in the balance, it seemed. I just felt stuck. There were no natural distractions anymore. I didn't adjust to Arkansas as easily as I had everywhere else. I couldn't process anything, and I didn't understand why. I thought that maybe my prayers for strength were working and that I was just getting tougher. But the truth is, I was unhappy and anxious, and I felt like I had a massive brick in my chest. I didn't talk about it because who would really understand? I didn't want to scare people, and I really didn't want to relive it after work. The weight got heavier, and people told me, you just have to mourn the loss of the lives. Mourn the losses. It's so much more than that. we're not just losing lives, we've lost the freedom to roam. We've lost our freedom of tradition, of human contact, and we've lost the witnessing of the end of life of somebody that you hold so dear. People who couldn't be there with their loved ones were just begging us to get to know that person in that bed, that good and noble person, that unrelenting pistol of a person. Everyone had a story. The grandparents who had just adopted their grandbabies, the farmer with the loving daughters whose family made poster said, "Come home, your cows miss you." The 34-year-old youth pastor with no pre-existing health conditions and a newborn son at home that shared the name of my dad. The sister, the brother, the friend, the mother, the dad, the elderly woman whose son was a nurse, and eventually the ICU travel nurse. When we withdrew her and she lost her life, I lost a piece of myself. That nurse, that ICU travel nurse, she was me. She was us. That was my frontline comrade. Up to that point, I had resisted using words like comrade and tried not to compare myself to veterans or enlisted soldiers because they were fighting real wars. But now I realize we're also in real physical danger and we're hurt. We're in the trenches together. We've witnessed the innocent suffering. We have nightmares and PTSD. It takes strength and resilience to be an ICU nurse, not in a pandemic. And we all face times of doubt and burnout and loss of hope. So what do you do when things really don't seem fair? What do you do when hope seems completely lost? Sometimes answers come to us in weird ways. Mine came to me through venting the person who originally asked me to do this story. I thought, what could anyone possibly learn from me? And she pointed out that I just kept going back to, I am just trying to do my best. I'm just trying to do my best. I might be treading water, but I'm just doing my best. And after some thought and some deep reflection, it comes down to this. Doing your best is doing your highest good in the situation that you might be facing. It doesn't mean doing better than someone else. There's no template or policy for what best is. Doing your best is not a state of perfection. Doing your best is fluid. Doing the best thing toward one person may not be the best thing for another person. Doing your best doesn't mean that you'll win every battle, but doing your best is how you survive. It's how you help other people survive. When you do your best, other people notice. They relax. They have faith that you're doing everything that you can and that you cared. Sometimes doing your best means crying a lot for what other people have lost. Sometimes doing your best is not eating the whole bag of kettle-cooked potato chips. Humans are not perfect. Doing your best is forgiving yourself for not being perfect and praising yourself for minimizing suffering and for being there for people and for brushing teeth and washing hair and for FaceTiming and sometimes for meeting in person. Doing your best is living through love and patience and empathy. Holding on to hope is finding peace in the fact that there's always another moment to do our best. Doing your best is how you go home and know that you're still helping. All in all, COVID-19 has shaken me deeply, but it hasn't shaken my integrity. It's shown me real human suffering, but it hasn't stolen my humanity. It's shown me my new best. Thank you, 1111. I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Sarah, thank you for that. Thank you for the gift of your story and for the gift of the work that you do and just the witness of your spirit. It was such a joy to have you with us. And friends, I just wanted to offer a quick concluding segue into this last song because I asked Brad to do this last song by Coldplay called Clocks. A little bit of a strange song for how we normally end things on Sunday mornings, but we're going into this Holy Week, and I want to think with you about this idea. These words that are in this song speak to this idea I want you to think about. A confusion that never stops, closing walls and ticking clocks. Going to come back and take you home. I could not stop that you know. Singing, come out upon my seas, cursed missed opportunities. Am I a part of the cure or am I part of the disease? Singing, you are home. It's where I want to go. So in this coming week, I want to think with you, I want you to think about and invite you to think about this week before Easter as a chance to think about who you are meant to be, who we are meant to be in these moments that we find ourselves in. The essence of what it means to be a part of the beloved community, a part of the kingdom of God, a part of shalom, this path toward harmony and toward justice. We don't go in peace, right? As so often is said at the end of a service, we go in pieces, seeking out to find our fit within the larger puzzle of this community, of this life that is always seeking balance and harmony and justice and healing. You are. Christmas time.